Welcome back, everyone, to This Week in CA Football, presented by Geico. I'm Bobby Broyles, along with Tim McDonald. Tim, the Dukes are returning to Frisco, and they did it with a statement win this past Saturday over one of the best teams out of the Missouri Valley Conference.
And after the first quarter that saw 5 forced turnovers for JMU and just a 7-0 lead, thinking it could have been more, you wondered which team would be able to take advantage despite the early issues. And it was the Dukes coming through in remarkable fashion when it was all said and done at the end of the night. Taryn Christian threw 6 picks. Madison recorded a program record 10 takeaways at the end of a wild Saturday night that finished with a casual 51-16 win and a trip back to Frisco for a date with the Bison, and just the second time in the last 7 years that the top 2 seeds will play for the national title. Well, both James Madison and North Dakota State were ranked 1-2 for the majority of the fall, up to Week 10 actually, proving that they really are the best 2 remaining teams in all of the FCS football. I think perfect spot for the playoffs to prove that the 2 best teams standing are James Madison and North Dakota State. The Dukes tied a program record with 6 interceptions versus the Jack. Jimmy Moreland tied a program record. He had 3 picks. Marcus Marshall had the second most rushing yards in a JMU postseason game with 203, including a couple of daggers and a couple of big ones in the second half that really broke things apart. 65-yarder and an 87-yarder to start the second half. JMU scored 30 points alone during that third quarter to put the Jackrabbits away for good in a game and an ending that I don't think a lot of people saw. And Riley Stapleton had 2 touchdown grabs. David Eldridge had 75 yards receiving. Both of them had 5 catches. Brian Shore, 18 of 25. He also had an early rushing touchdown. Just another perfect way for him to play in his final game, too, at Bridgeport Stadium. The balance needed from JMU that we hinted to leading in. We talked about the physicality. Can they match that throughout? Stayed true throughout. Outrushed South Dakota State 257 to 120, averaged 6.8 yards per play, and went a perfect 5 for 5 in the red zone to take care of business. So regardless of what happened in that early half of not really capitalizing on the turnovers, you got it done when everything finished. The last and final home game, like we said, at Bridgeport for those seniors, capped a remarkable job by this group. Not just as seniors playing it, but leading this group, too, for the last 2 years. 26 straight wins now overall, 2 seasons of at least 14 wins, and a 17-0 record at home over the past 2 years alone. You think about guys like Raven Green, Kyrie Hawkins, Jordan Brown, Carden Johnson even, who's injured, Brian Shore, plus many others. The job is not quite done yet, but the resume and the manner in which they led their group is going to probably carry on for a very long time. Among CAA football history, JMU right now, the 10th team to reach the FCS title game since 2003, and not only looks for its 2nd straight crown, but can become the 7th CAA team all-time to win a national championship.
Well, the stage is set now for January 6th in Frisco, Texas. It will be the matchup we think everyone across the country wanted to see on this stage as the Dukes take on North Dakota State for the national title at noon on ESPN2.
Hey, the city of Frisco is happy as heck right now because you could not have asked for 2 better fan bases to represent the FCS in the game of the year in what should be an absolutely incredible and terrific atmosphere at Toyota Stadium with everything on the line. We saw what JMU fans brought to the table. Trust me, North Dakota State fans are going to bring that same type of momentum.
Yes, they are.
After winning 5 straight titles from 2011 to 2015, NDSU returns to the title game for the 6th time in the last 7 years after a 55-13 win over Sam Houston State. Remember, I thought that one was going to be close. I was wrong about that one too. But the Bison set a program postseason record for points and total offense behind 5 total touchdowns from Bruce Anderson. He had 2 catches in the game. Both went for 20-plus yard touchdowns. 471 yards on the ground as a team for North Dakota State in that win. Led the Bearcats 41-3 at halftime and entered the title game at 13-1 overall, outscoring their last playoff opponents by a 135-26 margin. The team's only loss this season came at South Dakota State on November 4th, but got back to their physicality. I think got back to that foundation that you're used to seeing from North Dakota State. Since that, averaging 323 rushing yards per game during that stretch to go to show you kind of what their bread and butter is. It's always been that they're kind of finding it right now at this time of the year. Injuries are clearly going to grab some headlines of both teams coming in. You see, we'll get into it, but both sides are dealing with some blows. The Bison will be without 2 cornerbacks. That's Jalen Allison and Jalen Winbush, plus running back Ty Brooks this week, according to local media sources who say right now it does not look good for all 3 of those players to play in Frisco. The Dukes aren't exactly fully healthy either. You see Simeon Robinson was out. We see John Miller, who obviously not just a leader but a senior, but a guy who contributes a lot on offense in a lot of different ways. He's also missed the last couple of playoff games. So each side are going to have some players step up in order to add to the kind of flair of the championship, what's going to happen with these guys leading in. You can argue right now North Dakota State's current momentum through the playoffs added with that payback factor of facing the Dukes a year later is a key difference maker, and people will say, well, North Dakota State's the best they're playing right now. They're ready to roll.
Yep.
But at the same time, I also believe JMU has been equally, if not more impressive, because they continue to meet the expectations thrown at them. They continue to answer the call with the target, and while remaining dominant along the way. That, to me, is equally, if not a little bit more impressive than where North Dakota State is at right now. When you have a defending champion riding a ridiculous winning streak by today's standards, and thinking back to how JMU handled the Bison at their own game in Fargo to end that streak a year ago, the level of attention for the title game across the country, I think, could be at an all-time high in terms of people interested in watching to see two really good football teams going at it. Of course, even with the holiday approaching and a few weeks off, we'll be here for you. More planned coverage ahead. We're ahead of Frisco, don't worry, and our team will be on the ground for the 2018 National Championship as the Dukes and the Bison battle for the crown. More information, like I said, will come for you guys, but for now, be sure to stay with CAFootball.com, and you can stay with us on social as well, following on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and you can just search CAA Football and use the hashtag CAFB.
That's a wrap from us today. From all of us from the CAA headquarters, have a safe and happy holiday season, and we'll see you in 2018.